Hey everyone, what's up? I hope you're all doing well, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. Now more than ever, people are evaluating where they are in life, and maybe for some of you, you have determined that you want a change of scenery. Often, people will narrow down their choices to a couple of cities, but there is a group of 3 cities that are often a bit difficult to distinguish between on paper, and those are the cities of Denver, Colorado, Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington. Today, we're going to take a look at these cities and provide clarity on where they're similar and what makes each of these places unique. Hopefully this will help you determine which of these cities may be right for you. Now, let's go ahead and get started. Seattle is the biggest of these 3 cities, with a population of just over 750,000 residents, while Denver is slightly behind them at 727,000, and Portland has just over 650,000 people who call PDX home. Compared to cities of equal size, these cities enjoy positive economic numbers, and they're relatively safe. In Seattle, you will pay a lot more to live in the city than in Denver or Portland. In fact, Seattle is one of the most expensive cities in all of America. You can earn a lot of money in Seattle, and depending on your living situation, you may be able to save significantly as well. Denver and Portland are surprisingly similar when it comes to both median income and median home prices. When it comes to taxes, each of them has ways that they stand out. Denver is about average on income and sales tax, but they have great property tax rates. Oregon's income tax rate is really high. Any income made after $8,900 is taxed at 9%, and to give you an idea, California doesn't tax people at this rate until they make $57,000, so this is ridiculously high. But they are at a national average for property taxes and actually don't charge residents on sales tax. So at least you can spend your money here. Seattle is basically the inverse of Portland. Seattle doesn't have an income tax, and residents love that, but sales tax starts in the double digits. Again, the property tax rates are right around the national average. There's really not a definitive edge when it comes to finances, but I would really focus on what your industry is and see which place has the best infrastructure and growth opportunities there. Violent crime isn't great in Denver or Seattle, but when compared to other major cities, they're really not too bad. In Portland's case, their violent crime rate is exceedingly low for a city of its size. Violence has surged throughout the summer in many places throughout the country, and I couldn't get concrete data, so most of these numbers are pre-summer. But none of these 3 cities have huge violent crime to start with. The reason property crime is so high in the Northwest is likely because they have a significant homeless population. In fact, Seattle appears to have more homeless than the entire state of Colorado. For the most part, these 3 cities are relatively safe, and I would recommend looking at a detailed crime map to see where each city experiences the safest streets. The important takeaways on weather in these cities is that Denver will have wider swings and the Northwest cities will be a bit more moderate. Denver gets 7.5 times more snow than Portland and Seattle combined, but Seattle and Portland have about 100 less days of sunshine than in Denver. Seattle and Portland are often listed near the top of the most depressing cities list, and a large factor is because of the lack of sunshine. Many people suffer from seasonal depression, but on the other hand, if you dread the idea of shoveling snow, Denver may seem like a worse option to you. When it comes to schooling, all 3 cities have solid educational scores, both in private and public schools. In the Denver area, make sure to check out schools around Boulder. They are definitely leading the way, all the way from primary, secondary, and higher education in the area. The Portland metro area has some fine schools as well, and some of the best options are located in Lake Oswego, Sherwood, West Linn, and Clackamas. While all 3 metros offer quality educational opportunities, the Seattle metro area has to be the best education system. especially if you can afford to live in Bellevue, Sammamish, or Issaquah areas. Now, healthcare is difficult to quantify, but from what I see, all three of these cities have pretty good medical care. It appears that Seattle may offer the best access to medical care, while Portland has the best quality of healthcare. All three are highly rated though, so unless you are seeking a specialized field, it appears that the insurance you may qualify for could be a bigger deal than which of these three cities you would live in. When it comes to diversity, Denver is probably the most diverse of these three cities, and Portland is the least diverse. Denver has a growing Hispanic population, and there are more markets, museums, restaurants, and holiday festivals celebrating Hispanic culture here than you'll find in the Northwest. Seattle has a great Chinatown district that is recognized as one of their few historic neighborhoods. Portland does have a Chinatown as well, but it's probably not quite as extensive. One thing I can say from living in the Pacific Northwest is that while there are not a lot of black people or people of color in general, there are a high concentration of people who are two or more races in the Northwest. While some of these cities may not have the best diversity numbers, fortunately racism isn't rampant in any of these three cities. All three of these cities lean heavily Democratic, and if you don't believe me, here are the results for the 2020 election. These cities are not particularly balanced, and actually neither are any of these states. Washington and Colorado were the first states to legalize gay marriage and recreational marijuana, and Oregon just voted to decriminalize cocaine and heroin. Now, I'm not sure how that one's going to work, but we'll see. There was a lot of attention paid to protesting and rioting that occurred in the summer in Seattle and Portland. There are a lot of genuine people here who are really trying to fix problems in our society, but in the Northwest, any event like this tends to attract a violent crowd as well. If you are worried, I would say two things about this. One, this is something that is real, and you should be aware of it if you're considering moving here. And two, it is usually confined to the downtown areas and probably won't affect you too much if you live in the suburbs. I'm not saying this is perfect, but that's what my experience has been. These three cities take a backseat to no one when it comes to natural beauty. All three locations have amazing sights to enjoy nature year-round. Denver enjoys the beautiful Rocky Mountains, where they hike by summer and ski by winter. Colorado is known for having some of the best snow in all of the country, and many people flock to the area to participate in this winter wonderland. From Denver, you can visit Aspen, the Garden of the Gods, Hanging Lake, and several national parks. Portland doesn't have mountains as big as Denver in the city, but Mount Hood is close by. Multnomah Falls and the Columbia River Gorge can be reached within an hour, and the Oregon coast is an easily doable day trip or weekend getaway. Seattle's Puget Sound is iconic, and Seattle has done a great job of building the city to take advantage of the views. Whether you enjoy a city beach or park, the Great Wheel, or views from the Space Needle, you are not just limited to city explorations. Discover the San Juan Islands, Mount Rainier, and the Olympic Peninsula. The natural beauty in or near these three metropolitan areas may be the very best the US has to offer. I definitely can't name a winner here because it really is subjective based on what brings you joy. Now, here are a couple random things that may be helpful to know about these three cities as well. Because Denver doesn't have any major cities around it, national concerts and tours or traveling shows are more likely to be in your city. Conversely, there are many people who will not even do shows in Portland because Seattle is a few hours away. While Seattle and Denver are more likely to host national attractions, Portland will meet most of your entertainment needs and be pretty comparable to Denver or Seattle in most ways. When it comes to sports, Denver may separate a bit here. They have sports teams in all 5 major sports and a Pac-12 collegiate team. While Portland just has the Trailblazers and Timbers, Seattle also has 3 of the 5 major sports teams, but they also have a college team in town as well. All 3 of these cities are fiercely loyal to their sports teams, but they can have a bit of a tendency to overcompensate and be obnoxious because they're a little insecure when compared to other teams, usually teams in California. Also, when it comes to traveling internationally is cheapest from Seattle, but Denver is one of the easiest cities to fly anywhere in the US, and it's pretty reasonable for most prices and the time that you'll be on the plane. So, to sum it up, places where each city stands out would be Denver is more diverse, cheaper to fly within the country, experiences wider temperature swings, including more sunshine and snowfall, they have more sports teams, and they have solid property tax rates. Portland has a really high income tax, but no sales tax. Portland has a strong healthcare system with low violent crime rates, but Portland is less likely to host national attractions. They are less diverse, more expensive to fly from, and is the smallest city on this list. Seattle's claim to fame is that they out-earn these other cities. They have no income tax. It's also cheaper to fly internationally from Seattle, and they score the best on education and access to healthcare of any of these 3 areas. But Seattle does have a large property crime, huge homelessness crisis, and a much higher cost of living. At the end of the day, there are a lot of pros and cons about living in each of these 3 cities, and they are similar in so many ways, and people can have a tendency to struggle to decide between which one that they should move to. But hopefully this video helped you today. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and drop a like and consider subscribing for more content like this. If you have any questions about moving to one of these cities, feel free to ask below. If you disagree with me or have additional aspects to consider as well, let me know down in the comment section. I hope you all have a great day and that y'all stay safe. Take care.